You saw something that didn't feel right. Something in the interview, maybe something in the first week, maybe quite a small thing, the kind of thing that you can just push down and convince yourself you're imagining. And you stayed anyway because you needed the job, because the employment market is brutal right now. And you told yourself, I can handle this, I can deal with this. If that's where you are, or if that's where you've been, and I've had quite a few comments along these lines to my videos, then this video is for you, because I've done exactly that. And I want to talk to you honestly about what it cost me and what it might be costing you. I took a job once where the warning signs were there from the start. The person who would be my boss was intense in a way that was hard to put your finger on. Lots of energy directed at me in the interview, very certain about their opinions, a manner that felt slightly off. I did notice it, but I filed it away and I told myself I was being overly cautious because I really needed that job. But within weeks of starting, I understood what I'd signed up for. Late evening phone calls that went on for an hour, checking up on absolutely everything I was doing. It felt like there was a drumbeat of continuing pressure that never lifted. And I stayed there for a couple of years of managing somebody else's anxiety on top of managing my own. And I want to be clear about why I stayed. I needed the stability. The job market was uncertain as it ever was. I had people depending on me, I had commitments, and leaving felt like too big a risk. And those are real reasons. They're not failings of character or weakness. But what I want to talk about today is what happens when we let those real reasons override what we know. The job market is tough at the moment. We can't get away from that. A lot of the people that I speak to are, if they're getting interviews at all, aren't getting the jobs, and too many people aren't even getting interviews. People are taking jobs that they're uncertain about because of all of the uncertainty, and they need stability and they need an income. When you've been looking for a long time, your judgment shifts. Maybe the same red flags that would have caused you to pause a year or 2 years ago start to seem smaller, seem more manageable. You start to think, maybe I'm just being fussy. Maybe this is just what organisations are like. Maybe I should just be grateful. And that's not weakness. That's what sustained pressure does. But I do think it's worth talking about, because if you're in that place right now, that sense of desperation is not necessarily giving you the best advice as you're making decisions about what next. Now, this doesn't mean that you should be infinitely selective and infinitely picky, but what it does mean is that you deserve to go forward with your eyes very much open. I made a video a few weeks ago about red flags to take seriously at interviews, so I don't want to repeat everything I said in that video, and I'll link to it here. And of course, not every imperfect interview is a red flag. Organisations can be messy, people can forget things, people can be nervous. But what is important, I think, is to be aware of the red flags that you should take seriously. The first that's really important is some kind of evasiveness about why the person who was in your role before left. You're allowed to ask that question. If there's evasiveness in their answer, then do pay attention. The second is inconsistency. The job description says one thing, the interview says something else. The salary conversation shifts again. If organisations won't give you a straight answer about these basic things, then that again is a red flag to pay attention to. The third is how they talk about their team, their direct reports, people who've left. Listen for the subtext. If people are described with warmth, then that's a good signal. If people are described dismissively, then that's obviously a very bad sign. And the fourth, which is the one that I ignored, is your gut. What is your gut telling you about the job, about the people, about the situation? It's, how do you feel when you're on your way home from the interview? How do you feel the next morning when you wake up? If something's nagging at you and it's not excitement and nervousness about starting the new role, if something's nagging away at you, then I suggest you listen to it. I'm obviously not going to tell you to walk away from every imperfect opportunity. That's clearly not realistic, and it's not what I'm saying. And in fact, it's not what I did. I didn't listen to my gut, and I went and did that job, and I took quite a lot out of it that was positive and good. But what I am saying is, do go in knowing what you know. Don't talk yourself out of what you've noticed. Keep your eyes open. Before you accept, try to get some more information. Ask to speak to somebody else in the team. Ask what a typical week looks like. Ask them what they're most proud of in terms of how the organisation operates. Pay attention to the answers. and also pay attention to the gaps, if there are any, in the answers. And if you do take the job, I wish you all the very best. Keep your eyes open in those early weeks. The early signs usually tell you everything. And if what you noticed in the interview is still there, I think it's unlikely to get smaller. It's more likely to get bigger. And that doesn't mean you have to leave immediately, but it means that you might need to make a different plan. What happened to me in that job wasn't catastrophic at all. It turned out well, I learned a lot, and eventually moved on my own terms. But there were some difficult times along the way, if I'm honest. And what I wish someone had said to me is that paying attention to things isn't being precious. Your gut has been trained by decades of experience, and when it notices something, it's worth paying attention. It's not being fussy or being difficult to be someone who knows their own worth, even when the current job market is making that hard to hold on to. If you're working through a job search right now, or you're working somewhere that doesn't feel right, I've got plenty of other videos that will walk you through strategies to move forward or make different choices or survive if you can't move on just yet. If you found today's video helpful, do give it a like and consider subscribing if you don't already. I make videos every week about surviving difficult workplaces and finding a fruitful and happy career. Thank you so much for watching today, and see you next time.